Grand Secretary. Assemble, craftsmen. It is King Solomon's orders that the several rolls be called, and report made as soon as possible. At this command the secretary passes out of the lodge, accompanied by 10 or 15 of the brethren, into the ante-room, leaving the door open, so that the candidate can hear the rolls called. The brethren form around the secretary like a class at school. The secretary commences to call off a lot of Bible names, to which each brother responds, "Here," in a loud voice, until he calls that of the first ruffian, Jubela. 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 After calling a few more names, which are responded to by the brethren, he says, "Jubelo. Jubelo. Jubelo." And after a few more names, that of the third ruffian, Jubilum. 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 Finishing with a few other names. When he leaves the brethren in the ante-room, closes the door, and reports as follows to King Solomon. Grand Secretary. Most worshipful King Solomon, the several rolls have been called, and reports made, by which it appears that 3 fellow crafts are missing, namely, Jubela, Jubelo, and Jubilum, who, from the similarity of their names, I presume are brothers, and men from Tyre. Junior Grand Warden. Most worshipful King Solomon, there are at the gate 12 fellow crafts, who wish to be admitted. They say they come with important tidings. King Solomon. Let them be admitted. Here the warden opens the ante-room door, and says, "Come in, you 12 fellow crafts." When all those that were left out by the secretary come into the lodge, stamping and scuffling along, especially if only a few of them, to impress upon the candidate's mind the idea that there are more. They advance before the master in the east, and form across the lodge, when all make the due garden signs of a fellow craft which is responded to by the master. Then one of the best posted relates the responded following, in a clear and distinct voice, "Most worshipful King Solomon, we come to inform you that 15 of us fellow crafts, seeing the temple about to be completed, and being desirous of obtaining the secrets of the master mason, by which we might travel in foreign countries, and receive master's wages, entered into a horrid conspiracy to extort them from our Grand Master, Hiram Abiff, or take his life. But, reflecting with horror on the atrocity of the crime, 12 of us recanted. But the other 3 persisted in their murderous design, and we fear that they have taken the Grand Master's life. We therefore now appear before your Majesty, clothed with white gloves and aprons, in token of our innocence, and, acknowledging our premeditated guilt, we humbly implore your pardon." They all kneel. King Solomon. Arise, you 12 fellow crafts, divide yourselves into parties and travel. 3 east, 3 north, 3 south, and 3 west, with others whom I shall appoint, in search of the ruffians. The brother who has acted the part of sea captain now takes his station at the door again, when these fellow crafts approach him in the west. First craftsman. Hello, friend. Have you seen any strangers pass this way? Captain. I have, 3. Craftsman. Describe them, if you please. Captain. They were 3 brothers, workmen from the temple, seeking a passage to Ethiopia, but, not having King Solomon's pass, were not able to obtain one, and returned back into the country. Second craftsman. The very fellows of whom we are in pursuit. You say they turned back into the country? Captain. Yes. Craftsman. We will go in pursuit of them. They are the fellows we want. Moving off, one says, "Let us report." And at the same time he steps to the master's desk, and reports as follows: "Most worshipful King Solomon, I, being one of those who pursued the westerly course, coming down near the port of Joppa, met a seafaring man, of whom I inquired if he had seen any strangers pass that way. He informed me that he had 3, who from their appearance were workmen from the temple, seeking a passage to Ethiopia, but not having King Solomon's pass, were not able to obtain one, and returned back into the country. King Solomon. Divide yourselves and travel, as before, with positive instructions to find the ruffians, and with as positive assurance that, if you do not, the 12 shall be deemed the murderers, and suffer severally, for the crime committed." They now separate about the lodge, saying to each other, "This is very unjust of the king. We are told, if we do not find the ruffians we must be punished. Put to death, probably. What have we done? It is very true, we have been associated with these three ruffians, but we have not committed any actual crime. By this time they have got near the candidate, who is still lying on the floor, rolled up in the canvas, when one of the party sits down near his head, and at the same time says, "Well, brothers, I am very weary. I must sit down and rest before I can go any farther." One of his companions exclaims, "I am tired, too," and sits down near the candidate. Another says, "What course shall we pursue? We must not go and report ourselves. If we do, the 12 will be put to death. Here are 3 of the poor fellows with us. We must not go and give them up, to be put to death. Rather let us take a northwesterly or a southwesterly course. Which way shall we go?" One of the brethren then replies, "We will go a southwesterly course, and will come up with our brothers." Attempting to get up, he exclaims, "Hello! What's this?" At the same time pulling up the evergreen, or acacia, as it is styled, at the head of the grave. What means this acacia coming up so easily? The ground has been newly broken. This has the appearance of a grave, pointing to the candidate on the floor. One of the brothers, representing one of the 3 ruffians, in a corner nearby, is now heard to exclaim, in a loud, but deep tone of voice, "Oh, that my throat had been cut across, my tongue torn out by its roots, and buried in the rough sands of the sea, at low water mark, where the tide ebbs and flows twice in 24 hours, ere I had been accessory to the death of so good a man as our Grand Master, Hiram Abith." Hark! That is the voice of Jubela. "Oh, that my breast had been torn open, my heart plucked out, and placed upon the highest pinnacle of the temple, there to be devoured by the vultures of the air, ere I had consented to the death of so good a man as our Grand Master, Hiram Abith." Hark! That is the voice of Jubelo. "Oh, that my body had been severed in 2, my bowels taken from thence and burned to ashes, the ashes scattered to the 4 winds of heaven, that no more remembrance might be had of so vile and wicked a wretch as I." Ah! Jubela, Jubelo, it was I that struck him harder than you both, it was I that gave him the fatal blow. It was I that killed him. That is the voice of Jubilam. The 3 craftsmen, having stood by the candidate all this time, listening to the ruffians, whose voices they recognize, say one to another, "What shall we do? There are 3 of them, and only 3 of us." One says, "Our cause is just. Let us rush in and seize them." Upon which the 3 fellow crafts rush forward over benches and chairs, and secure the ruffians in a very gentle manner, and lead them to the worshipful master's seat in the east, when one of them reports to the master, "Most worshipful King Solomon, I, being one who pursued the westerly course, and, on my return, after several days of fruitless search, being more weary than my companions, sat down on the brow of a hill to rest and refresh myself, and, on rising, accidentally caught hold of a sprig of acacia, which, easily giving way, excited my suspicions. Having my curiosity aroused, I examined it, and found it to be a grave. As soon as the craftsman has finished this report, another party arrives with the ruffians, and reports as follows: "Most worshipful King Solomon, while sitting down to rest and refresh ourselves, we heard the following horrid exclamations from the clefts of the adjacent rocks. The first was the voice of Jubela exclaiming, 'Oh, that my throat had been cut across, my tongue torn out by its roots, and buried in the rough sands of the sea, at low water mark, where the tide ebbs and flows twice in 24 hours, ere I had been accessory to the death of so good a man as our Grand Master, Hiram Abith.' The second was that of Jubelo, exclaiming, 'Oh, that my breast had been torn open, my heart plucked out and placed upon the highest pinnacle of the temple, there to be devoured by the vultures of the air, ere I had consented to the death of so good a man as our Grand Master, Hiram Abith.' The third was the voice of Jubilam, exclaiming, louder than the rest, 'It was I that gave the fatal blow, it was I that killed him. Oh, that my body had been severed in 2, my bowels taken from thence, and burned to ashes, the ashes scattered to the 4 winds of heaven, that no more remembrance might be had of so vile and wicked a wretch as I.' Ah, Jubela, Jubelo, it was I that struck him harder than you both. It was I that gave him the fatal blow. It was I that killed him. Upon which we rushed in, seized and bound the ruffians, and now have them before your majesty. King Solomon, Jubela, you stand charged as accessory to the death of our Grand Master, Hiram-Abith. What say you, guilty or not guilty? One answers, in a very penitent manner, guilty, my lord. King Solomon. Jubelo, you also stand accessory to the death of our Grand Master, Hiram-Abith. What say you, sir, guilty or not guilty? Answer. Guilty, my lord. King Solomon. Jubilam, you stand charged as the wilful murderer of our Grand Master, Hiram-Abith. What say you, sir, guilty or not guilty? Answer. Guilty, my lord. King Solomon. Vile, impious wretches. Despicable villains. Reflect with horror on the atrocity of your crime, and on the amiable character of your worshipful Grand Master, whom you have so basely assassinated. Hold up your heads, and hear your sentence. It is my orders that you be taken without the gates of the court, and be executed, according to your several imprecations, in the clefts of the rocks. Brother Junior Grand Warden, you will see my orders duly executed. Begone. They all pass out of the lodge with a rush, into the ante-room, where they form into a circle. One, acting as the principal mover, raises his right foot from the floor, at the same time his hands, in the manner of slapping them together, makes two false motions, but at the third all bring down their right feet and hands together, producing a very sharp noise. A momentary silence then ensues, during which one of the party groans, as if nearly dying. This is all intended to produce its effect upon the ears of the candidate. It also represents the execution and dying groans of Jubela, the first ruffian, and is repeated twice more to represent the death of the other two ruffians. Some lodges use a large drum, others roll a large cannonball across the ante-room floor, letting it strike on a cushion placed against the wall. This is not, however, practiced in city lodges. The ruffians being executed, the brethren all return quietly to the lodge, when one of them reports, in a loud tone of voice, Most worshipful King Solomon, your orders have been duly executed upon the 3 murderers of Grand Master, Hiram-Abith. King Solomon, you 12 fellow crafts will go in search of the body, and, if found, observe whether the master's word, or a key to it, or anything that appertains to the master's degree, is on or about it.